Okay, now you're recording. Now do that again. We will call the Board of Commissioners to order. This is the 5th of July. Happy New Year. Happy 4th. I hope everyone had a good time yesterday. And celebrating our 246th birthday, I believe, for the country. We will ask you to stand. We'll have a word of prayer, and then Mr. Wright will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Gracious God, Heavenly Father, as we do the business set before us this day, we ask for wisdom, your grace, direction in all that we do. And for this great land, we continue to pray that you would guide it with your unerring hand, give us hope and direction from the President's office, through Congress, all the way through our State House, our governor, to our counties as well as our cities. We'll thank you for your grace and help in all that you give us. We'll thank you in your precious name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Be seated. We have gone through our order, call to order, prayer and pledge. Before we get to number 3, this is the first day that Mr. Wright is joining the Board of Commissioners. We went through a caucus process last week. He was elected, and we thank him for his desire to serve. We had great candidates. We had 4 others that were not chosen, but we're glad that we have a commissioner filling District 1 now. And I want to say welcome to our new colleague. Any words of wisdom before we get into regular business?
Well, I tell you, it's an honor for me, the caucus choosing me, and I've got some track record as far as with the city of Marion, but nothing with the county. And so I'm looking forward to that and learning a lot about what you guys and gals do every day. And I know we have some big decisions and things coming up. In fact, this meeting is one, and that's the reason the room is so crowded, in which I appreciate you coming out. This is a political process that we go through. So I thank you for attending this meeting today, and I want to get to know each and every one of you. And I'm looking forward to serving for the next 2.5 years. And let me just say this, I appreciate Ron Mowry and what he has done for our county, city, all the different things that he has been involved with. And Ron, he has left a mark on Marion and Grant County. And so I want to thank him for his years of service and putting that in. So, and again, appreciate the opportunity to serve once again. Thank you.
Thank you and welcome. All right, we're moving to claims, minutes, and payroll. In your packet, gentlemen, under current claims, we have pre-authorizations from June 27th and some singles as well that are pre-approvals. I'll present those here, and then we can act on them shortly. With regard to these pre-approvals from 6/27/22, the general invoice edit batch was $90,154.35. The other batch, $68,398.16. Highway batch, $78,007.64 for a grand total of $236,560.15. Those were the invoice edit batches. The single pre-approvals include AT&T in the amount of $2,458.06, AT&T in the amount of $1,808.12, AT&T in the amount of $7,221.18, for a total of $11,487.98. That was pre-approval was given on the 23rd of last month. And then pre-approval single claims for Star Financial in the amount of $4,731.20, and Staples Business Advantage $219.20. And pre-approval was given on the 17th of June for those. So those items were pre-approved and paid. What we do then is by motion, we would ratify the pre-approval so that the commissioners give their blessing on the final payment on that.
So moved.
Motion to ratify the pre-approvals.
And I'll second that.
Motion, Mr. Burton, second, Mr. Wright. And any other discussion or questions on those? Hearing none, all those in favor would say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it is carried unanimously. With regard to today's invoice edit reports, the general invoice edit batch is requesting $316,920.33. Other batch, $113,761.84. Highway batch, $182,914.25 for a grand total of $613,596.42. And because this is before us today, we would need a motion to approve those expenses.
I'll make a motion that we approve those expenses.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Wright, second, Mr. Burton. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor would say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it is carried. That covers our bills. Since we've got it on the same page, we do have a pre-approval of payroll number 13 that was formally approved pre-approved on June 22nd, and the gross amount of $524,130.30 was paid out June 24th of 2022. So again, we would need a motion to ratify payroll number 13.
So moved.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Burton, second, Mr. Wright. Since we've already paid everybody, then I think we're ready to vote on that. All those in favor would say aye.
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 Aye, it is carried. We do have 3 items with minutes. Those include Monday, November 15th, Monday, December 6th, and Monday, December 20th. These have been reviewed and edited, and I would recommend that we adopt these minutes as presented.
So moved.
I have to abstain because I was not in those meetings.
Very good, I will second that. So we have a motion with support to approve November 15th, December 6th, and December 20th as presented. All those in favor would say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those abstaining? All right, carried 2 to 1 abstention. And hopefully from now on, you'll be right in the mix and you won't have to say, I wasn't there. All right. Got number 3 done. We have receipt of monthly weights and measures report in your packet. Just kind of let you know, Steve, we usually get this as well as the, often get the clerk of courts report as well. This weights and measures monthly report is from 16 May to 15 of June. And so he gives us a briefing on items that were flagged or rejected, those that are correct. And we received this, unless you have questions and would like to ask Mr. Fleming about it. With your permission, we'll receive that with consent. We're all consenting to that.
Yep.
Good. I saw one.
So there was a monthly one and then annual report.
Is the annual, okay,
Both
that's,
for weights and measures.
so that second
That's the second
page
page.
is your annual report. Any questions there for our weights and measurement director? We would receive that by your consent for the annual report as well?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Okay, communications, board updates, elected officials, and special committees. We'll start with our auditor and move around the room.
Yeah, I believe I have nothing special to add to the meeting today, so you can move to the next one.
Very good.
Thank you.
Do we have EMA with us today?
We do.
Thank you.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Welcome, Commissioner Wright. See you.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson.
So we did have a COVID briefing this morning with our core group. through the Emergency Operations Center. An update from Dr. Moore. So we know that in June, we did see another doubling of the numbers reported cases in Grant County. That's 3 months in a row now that we've seen that. So we're watching that trend. We're also watching what goes on at the hospital. Although they've seen an increase of people coming to the hospital, really not very many people being admitted for long periods of time like we've seen in the past. So things we're watching, the trend that we're seeing in a couple different ways tells a different story, so we just continue to watch it. It is encouraging that people are not being hospitalized for long term. However, the sheer numbers are a little concerning, particularly this early in the year. We know that we'll see a spike in the fall, and just trying to head that off as best we can. But so we continue to monitor that. The other good report on that was we had 2 deaths, although those are tragic for the families, of course. But we had 2 reported deaths in June, so that was down as well. Questions about COVID stuff before I go to weather?
Before you go to weather. So again, is Dr. Moore encouraging us? Again, I know it sounds repetitive, but the vaccines, people at risk probably still need to be prepared to mask up if.
Everything we know that has worked in the past, we're still pushing that. So PPE precautions, if you're at risk, you have immune deficiencies, compromised immune stuff, yeah, take extra precaution. Those are the people that are still being affected in a major way by that.
Go ahead. Do we have a percentage of our county that's been vaccinated? Do you know that percentage?
I count on you for a tough question.
I'm so sorry.
Not off the top of my head. I can get that for you though.
Okay, I'd love to know that. I
Yes.
just kind of
Last
see where
time
we're
I
at.
checked, we were about 42% that were actually vaccinated, and with those who were not vaccinated but sick with antibodies, we're just at the herd immunity level of about 59 to 60%.
Yeah, and I don't expect that has changed much because really the vaccination, in fact, the health department did report this morning that vaccinations have waned. In fact, they're back to just, I think, a couple of days a week, they reported this morning. So,
Okay, thank you.
but that's, there again, vaccinations are a thing we continue to watch. Those are still available at the health department here, free of charge. Testing is free of charge. So, and we know there's a lot of testing that is not being reported, a lot of cases that are not being reported because of home tests. So the numbers are skewed quite a bit.
And we can add to that for the media and everyone that's listening. We will be continuing to do vaccinations through the end of the year.
Yes, that has been approved and extended to the end of the year.
Good. Thanks for your work.
I'm glad to do it. Weather Service, we had a briefing this morning. I have another briefing this afternoon with the National Weather Service, but we are under heat advisory from now through the end of the week. Heat index expected to be 105 degrees. So cooling centers, as far as cooling centers go, the Grant County Rescue Mission is the only one that I'm aware of at this point that we know that when heat index hits 90 degrees, they will open one. So folks have that. I think that address, I know that address is 423 South Gallatin that you can go to if you're having issues cooling. You can go there and cool off for a little bit. Storms for this afternoon are predicted, as well as, and we'll get an update on the briefing this afternoon, but as well as tomorrow afternoon. There again, heavy rain and wind are the 2 major things we're watching at this point.
Other questions? There's the COVID now, and the weather.
Lights back on?
They are on. Good. We had, how many, 1,000?
There was 1,000+ customers this morning involved in that outage. I&M does a great job keeping our lights on, so we appreciate them.
And depending on weather, we will be interested in still having a ribbon cutting on Thursday at 9 a.m. out at 800 East for our public safety tower and joint operation public-private enterprise. So So we invite folks to that as well. Lieutenant Governor Crouch will be with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other elected officials in the room for reports? All right. Before we go to IT and Highway, a little bit of work here we need to do, Mike, since Mr. Wright has joined us, and there are a couple of positions, three that we need to confirm his appointment to as a board. Would like to put Mr. Wright on the Economic Growth Council. He will ask that he be put on area plan to step in for Mr. Mowry's position. And then we have the East Central Indiana Solid Waste District. That would be an appointment that we can get him on as well.
Sure.
So with, again, technically we vote or consent to that. If you're consenting to those positions, then we'll consent to that.
I will consent.
All right. So by unanimous consent, we will inform those committees or special groups that Mr. Wright will be joining Economic Growth Area Plan and East Central and Indiana Solid Waste District. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
All right, IT. He's smiling.
Oh, yeah. I'm not gonna probably spend anything today, though.
Oh,
So,
then I'm smiling.
yeah, well, it's maybe for future. So, in your packets, you guys should have gotten a Blackwood quote for the two-factor authentication system. So, back in January, our cybersecurity insurance people gave us a list of items we needed to address, and one of them was the two-factor. The immediate one was for the email system, and that was implemented using Microsoft's built-in two-factor. So that got us to where we were able to proceed with getting our policy and stuff. However, they were also wanting two-factor turned on for more systems, such as our firewall, our servers, and there was a couple other items I kind of slipped in my brain at the moment. And I was looking into different systems. Okta was the one, and then there was another one called Duo two-factor. After reviewing both of them, I think Okta is the best one for the money. It is about $5,000 more expensive, but they also include training for us in the IT department. So that way it's not just, we buy it and they just kind of give us the stuff and leave us to our own devices. They'll help us with it and train us on the software and things like that. So I just wanted to bring this, the pricing and stuff to your guys' attention, so that way maybe you can discuss it among yourselves and figure out how we want to go about it. Because I don't want us to get in a position where we have to have it and they
It's too
won't,
late.
or they won't cover us.
So how long is this quote good for?
It's pretty much 30 days, but pricing should be pretty similar if we decide to move forward, later towards the end of the year. It'll probably be a minor increase in that.
And this is something that you're going to recommend that we jump into with the second authentication process.
Yeah, so basically this would replace the Microsoft stuff for the email. So it would be one centralized platform for the two-factor. So like if you wanted to sign in on the VPN, the two-factor would be set up there, but it'd be all through your app. Then if you need to get to it through your email, you would go through that app for your two-factor request. Just to make it simpler, so that way we're not going to different applications and things like that for the users.
So besides our email accounts, who really comes in and gets on our system besides you guys?
Well, it's just like county employees, so we have a lot of people in the community correction probation offices that access to VPN. We also have several vendors that have VPN access as well. So it's just, the two factors just to help make sure, the people that sign in with those accounts are who they say they are. Because anybody can grab a username and password and sign in with it, but the two-factor sends a notification to a phone number or device and says, hey, is that you, yes or no? And lets them decline it or allow it through. So that's basically their concerns, from the cybersecurity company insurance. So, it's not a immediate pressing concern, but it's something I want to get the ball rolling on it. If we were to proceed with it like right now, I would have to get an additional appropriation probably in August or September at the council meeting. And I did put in an increase in my contractual services for the 2023 budget with this in mind.
Hopefully do it in 2023, but the question is, we'd have to look for an appropriation for this year.
Right. And it's one of those things where it's a what if, because I've been here, for almost 8 years, and the cybersecurity stuff, I mean, the county just kind of paid for it, but now the companies are really starting to pay attention, and they're enforcing us to have, certain things in place before they will insure us.
Thoughts, questions?
I love, if you don't mind spending the extra money to get the knowledge from them, the $5,000 additional from the other quote and things. I mean,
Right.
if the other one was just kind of dumping us in the software and all the things, I know my age, I struggle with that a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's a wise move to make sure that we have the training and things that we need. Are they just gonna train you, or are they gonna train the employees? How's that work?
Well, they'll probably just train us, and then they will give us tools where we can get that out to the county employees, so that way they know how to use the system. Because it'd be one of those things we would have to do it in stages, so we'd have to train everybody on it.
Yep.
Then there would be an onboarding process, is
Yep.
what they call it.
Good.
So,
I like train the trainer. That's
Yeah,
that's a good
train the
thing. Yep,
trainer.
Yep, good.
I usually ask for something that he hasn't thought of,
Mhm.
and so he mentioned it, and I'd like to know the answer, since we're not in a rush to
Mhm.
jump today. Outside of the scope of our employees, I would like some type of an inventory of who can, whether they're vendors trying to get in to work, or whether they are other individuals with the state or the courts or whoever that might be. I'd like to know how many other people we have coming into our system for.
okay, so you're wanting, like, basically users who have VPN access and probably part of the email system as well, because that's
If
tied
you can-
into it.
I'd
Yep,
like
I
to-
can do that.
I'd like to know what that percentage or that number of people is, so.
Sure, absolutely, I can do that.
Gentlemen, if you don't mind, while you're taking this under advisement, I'd like to run this through our liability agent and then the terms through our attorney.
I think that's wise as well. Jim, did you have a
And
question?
just a question, I guess looking at the schedule that we have here, it shows a start date of 8/1/22, so that's coming up pretty soon. So you really aren't looking for 8/1, that's just a,
No, I was just getting pricing from them just to see what the ballpark of the pricing was. The other one, the Duo was around 14,000, and this one was 19,000, so,
what kind of start date are you actually asking them to consider?
well, I would like to get it probably sometime in September, October range, is what I'm thinking, just to get it before the winter months when, people go off on vacations. And that way, whenever we go to, I imagine like in January, they'll review our policy again. We could say, hey, here's, as per your suggestion, we've done these items, and we've also implemented this system as part of your list of requirements.
So basically, if we can get those questions answered by our next meeting, it is possible that we could approve this pending the appropriation by the council, which wouldn't happen until earliest would be August.
Yeah, at this point, so, well, yeah, if you're looking for an October timeframe, Stir, you want to get it on the August or September.
Yeah, and it could be one of those things where, I could, we could do like a net, 60 or 90, and they could let us pay, next year in January sometime as well, if we wanted to push it back a little bit further, but I figured we'd go ahead and try to get it in as soon as we can. That way we don't have to worry about that aspect as much. There was a couple other things with vulnerability and penetration testing and things like that, but I have a couple different ideas on how to remedy those without it being too costly.
So you're gonna help us and bring back information at the July, what's that, 18th meeting?
Yep, yep, I sure can.
And so it's fair, this is something that came up after budget for 22 is done, so you weren't,
Yeah, it-
22's
it-
budget was approved, this wasn't part of the thinking.
Yeah, it came up in January, February, was Greg Lane, when he contacted me. Yeah, it was about January, February, he got a hold of me. So that's it, that's all I got for you gentlemen.
So you didn't spend any money today, but you sure would like to.
No, we're trying to plant the seeds a little bit.
All right.
Thanks
Thanks,
again,
Marcus.
gentlemen.
Mr. White, Highway Department.
Morning. Got some good news. We got started on the bridge out on 1000 East, between 200 North and 250 North. That bridge has been closed for approximately a year or two. They started on it today. I believe it's a 120-day closure, so hopefully during the next couple of months that road will be back opened up before maybe school or somewhere around the first of the month. So working on that. I did get some price quotes on building a new storage facility, building out the highway department. I contacted 3 vendors, only had 2 give me quotes back. And right now, all I want to do is just give you the price on the structure, and then I'll get the price on the concrete at a later date, if that's all right. This building here is 72 feet wide, 168 feet long. And then it has a lean tube that's the whole length, 168 feet on the north side with a 25 or 20 foot width on that. So the first company I have a quote from is Ernest Schwartz Construction out of Monroe, Indiana. His price quote on that was $131,786. The other company I had give me a quote was Fairmount Builders in Fairmount, Indiana. His price quote on the structure was $305,000 for that. So there was a substantial difference on those two.
Quotes are good, how long?
30 days, really kind of pushing 30 days kind of thing, so. In fact, I've had the one from Mr. Schwartz for longer than 30 days, so I would like to make a decision today to give him notification as soon as possible, if you'd like to select him.
The question involved is, I know that we're working to alleviate having storage out on 33rd and Meridian Street. Do you currently have funds to put this together?
Yeah, I believe I do. I mean, I'll have to transfer some money. Hopefully the council will allow me to transfer some money, but I should be all right on that to get the project done, so.
And what are we, what are we anticipating concrete wise?
I would say between 50 to 75,000 ballpark. Maybe a little bit more than that, but I'll probably buy the concrete through the county and then just have someone pour it, is what I'm planning on.
That'll allow storage for sheriff's department as well.
And then, of course, up here, Vince, he stores stuff out there, so he'll have to take his stuff to our facility.
Right.
So, which I think that's fine with him.
Questions, comments, gentlemen?
Yeah. First meeting,
Yeah, no problem.
spent a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so, and this is the first crack I've heard at it, and I didn't see any other report. Do you normally bring in something to give us, to kind of break those things down, or I'm just asking a question because I'm new?
You know, usually I just, like if it's a bid thing for a bridge or a road, I'll give you all that results so you can look at them. Actually, we usually have consulting firms review all that, so make sure the numbers are all correct on that, so, yeah. Like the bridges are gonna be thousands of dollars and millions of dollars, I
Yeah.
mean, so basically you pay a consulting firm to make sure that all that is precise on quality and everything else, so a lot of those numbers like that, I guess, we'll make sure that because a lot of our money comes through grants through the state, so we have to make sure that those are all correct before we even submit them to the state, so.
Okay, is there any grants available on this type of building?
No, not that I have found. I've looked a little bit. In fact, we just looked recently for the recycle center, trying to get a grant on that, and we were not approved on that. I know we've tried to do that a couple times in the past, so.
So, requested that, we thought we were gonna get 3 bids.
Mhm.
We only received 2.
Right.
Could you give me those numbers one more time?
Sure, yeah.
On that?
The first one, Burger Schwartz was $131,786.
Okay,
And the other one was Fairmount Builders for $305,000 even.
Any reason there's such a wide gap between those two? That almost scares you, like, wow, why is it? It's almost too good to be true for one, and
right.
I don't know.
I know one thing, if you've ever worked with the Amish, they can buy the material cheaper than most people can. They can build it, and the material's cheaper than most people can buy the material. But I think a lot of their family builds the material, so that's probably where they get their savings, so.
Any concern about supply chain issues on this?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay.
No.
What funds did you intend to use to pay for it?
I'm just gonna make an account up for it.
The
for building.
MVH regular or restricted?
Regular. I've already talked to state board accounts. I already know that. Can't do that on the other one.
I would say I was hoping that'd be the case.
Yeah, but I've already talked to them on that. Of course, they want you to store the equipment in there that takes care of the roads, but they won't let you, so I just, yeah, whatever.
I think we've had that argument before, haven't we?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, so, yeah, they've already told me I have to take it out at 1176, so.
So we've heard concern from Mr. Wright that you know, information is fast coming. The other thing we heard is that technically, I think you said the Schwartz quote may be already out of its 30 days.
I imagine he'll meet it, so we'll be fine there.
Gentlemen have a direction you'd like to go on this?
Mike, any comments or anything?
No, I mean, I would take David's recommendation on the one he wants to go with, which is usually the lowest and best.
Yeah.
You need a motion?
We would need a motion if we were to move forward on that.
Like I say, I'm new, just trying to figure all this out and stuff. Our next meeting is July 18th, correct?
Yes.
I wouldn't mind holding this off until the next meeting, just so I can get with you, and
Okay.
I'd like to drive out there and just kind of show me what you're looking at and things, and learn a little bit about what you do, and take a look at the property and do that. That would be
I think
my
that's
recommendation.
appropriate, and I also get that renewal to make sure that he's gonna commit to that price.
Okay.
And then we will get back with him
Yeah.
on that day.
Okay, that'll be fine. I'll even see if maybe I can get that third guy to come back to me, so.
Yeah, you'd probably like to hear a little more about why we're looking to do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What are the reasons for doing it versus not?
Yes.
That's good.
Just to give you a little information too, we do have a building at the Boys and Girls Club that the county still owns. And they would like to use the facility if we would like to give it away. So we're trying to move our whole operation out on Garthwaite and then give that building to them for some program that they're wanting to get started, I
Okay.
guess, through the Boys and Girls Club.
Awesome.
I've been talking to Mr. Morrell,
Yes.
so I've been working with him on that, so hopefully we can get it so they can use that building and develop whatever they want.
Good.
We technically have that parcel as well as a cell tower parcel that is still under Grant County inventory. And we're looking to liquidate both of those so that we have no more interest out there. So
Okay.
that's where we're headed.
I just have one more thing to bring up real quick today. I'd like to send August 1st for the bid date on Bridge 789. That's the bridge here in Marion on 10th Street. That we got the community crossing grant money awarded to us. And then if we have the bid opening August 1st, then I'd like to, hopefully by the August 15th meeting, have a referral back to you on who we'd like to use and have you gentlemen sign off, because I have to get all that paperwork into the state by the 19th of August. So I'll make sure that we have that all prepared.
And we did receive that Crossroads grant.
Yes.
Good.
Actually, I know they sent the paperwork to the auditor's office, but I don't know if Angie's received the money yet. I'll have to check on that.
Yeah, I can't say for sure. You check with her and see.
But I just want to make sure that's all right. I advertise for that date, if that's all right, August 1st, for bid opening on that bridge. All right,
Thank you.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right. We have finished our first half under old business. We have the solar ordinance consideration. We advertised that last week that we would be having a public meeting to discuss that. That has been sent to us from the Area Plan Commission. We received that April the 18th. And accordingly, the legislative body shall vote with, on the proposal in 90 days after the commission certifies proposal under section 605 of this chapter. That is by July 17 or before. We have set this as our date to review findings I'm presenting to you, as well as go from there. In procedure, the legislative body shall give notice. We did that. If the legislative body rejects or amends the proposal, it shall be returned to the Plan Commission for consideration with a written statement of the reasons for rejection of amended. Commission has then 45 days in which to consider rejection of amendment and report to the legislative body as follows. So depending on what we do today, if we send something back to the legislative body, they have 45 days. And then once they send it back to us with comments or approval or rejection, then we have 45 days in order to work through that as well. So those are the procedures that were we're still working under according to state law. In our process here, I believe you have a findings that was released last week on Friday. And so for the record, I have to read this in, so sit back and enjoy the few minutes of rest here, gentlemen. So, history finding, January, February of 2021, commissioners discussed potential state legislation that would have been adverse to local home rule regarding solar energy. This sparked concerns of an ordinance being enacted prior to July 1st, 2021. Indiana State Legislature backed off pushing mandatory regulation to recommend legislation which allowed Grant County to begin a dialogue on solar energy systems. Following the October 18, 2021 Commissioners' Solar Summit meeting and 4 months of research development discussing with department heads, that would be Highway Department, Drainage Board, Area Plan, Emergency Management. I believe even there had been some recommendations from the Soil Water District, 4 separate drafts. Draft 4 of the Grant County Solar Ordinance was sent to the Area Plan Commission for review and recommendation by the commissioners. At that time, the ordinance was considered 90% complete with some loose ends to tie up. This particular ordinance for consideration reviewed 32 counties and averaged their requirements. February 2022 APC meeting did not have quorum. Commissioner's ordinance draft was set aside by APC on March 7, 2022 with no apparent review or discussion to the content. APC held 2 solar workshops since taking over the solar ordinance review. The Board of Zoning Appeals has been very influential in the APC decision, although BZA has no authority regarding ordinance adoption or recommendations. State law states that BZA has no place in ordinance development and infers separation of powers. Area Plan conducted public hearings regarding solar on April 4, 2022, following a cumulative 6 months of discussion. APC set aside the Commissioner's proposed ordinance. APC chose to recommend to the Commissioners an ordinance provided by Mr. Ed Hartman, BZA Chair, without public review of the proposed ordinance or conversation with lawyer that drafted the proposed ordinance for Mr. Hartman. This ordinance, now referred to as Draft 7 or Certified Ordinance Recommendation, was voted upon without being publicly reviewed by APC. Board of Commissioners received certification on the proposed ordinance April 18th of 2022. Board of Commissioners are required to act within 90 days by July 17th, or said ordinance becomes effective without their action. Throughout the course of the solar discussion, I've heard testimony at the Solar Summit, APC meetings, Educational Summit, Drainage Board, had discussions with those on both sides of the ordinance issue. I've received data, letters, phone calls. I present these findings to the Grant County Board of Commissioners for review, discussion, as we consider the proposed ordinance recommended by Grant County Area Plan. These are my current findings for your discussion. Indiana Code 36-7-2-8, Solar Energy Systems, Reasonable Restrictions, Section 8, Sub B. A unit may not adopt any ordinance which has the effect of prohibiting or unreasonably restricting the use of solar energy systems other than for the preservation or protection of public health and safety. Sub C. It is the policy of the state to promote and encourage the use of solar energy systems and to remove obstacles to their use. Number 2, Grant County currently has 4 solar farms that have been established without regulation or ordinance. 3, proposed ordinance was initiated, from the President of Grant County Board of Zoning Appeals, which is outside the scope of its judicial nature. Further, attorney was consulted, did not prepare work on a Grant County proposed, and did prepare work on a Grant County proposed ordinance, but did not meet or discuss with the BZA or APC. There was no discussion of the proposed ordinance by APC members prior to the vote. See video of the APC meeting dated April 4, YouTube at grantcounty.gov. government, excuse me. Several questions asked during the public hearing were not addressed or answered at that particular meeting. Current ordinance provides less definition than draft 4 of the commissioners. We should not leave any issue to speculation, but define these issues as specifically as possible. The definitions need to add depth as they give clear, concise information. The APC certified document eliminates the concept of major minor solar farm energy systems. It appears APC intent is to intentionally require variances for minor solar over 5 acres. There must be residential minor and major designations based on personal, residential, and or small enterprise use. The current proposal would curtail or eliminate minor solar economics. Current solar farms in Grant County include 3 of 4 that are larger than 5 acres. This would add annual fees to minor solar farms over 5 acres. Again, best practice is that you don't write an ordinance knowing required variances from that ordinance from the start. You don't create more work than you need to. Road use agreements, economic development agreement, decommissioning agreement, and liability insurance should rest with the commissioners based on the fact commissioners represent all of Grant County in legal action. Areas in current form of this ordinance, Ordinance 7, or the certified ordinance, are ambiguous, where previous drafts were specific on requirements. Specifically, department heads are not brought in for review. The unique individual characteristics of each solar farm energy system presents a compelling argument that each application be treated on its unique situation, size, terrain, drainage, resources, and other local community it affects. Each project should not be assumed to be a one-size-fits-all philosophy. With regard to property value agreements, the state of Indiana deems such legislation unreasonable and was not included in state guidelines for solar farms. Key issue in this ordinance issue is the effective protection of both sides of property rights. Constitutional rights regarding property rights would include property owners' rights to utilize their land as they see fit based on reasonable regulation. Regarding setbacks, the 1320-foot setback requirement is the most restrictive in the state. Current Purdue snapshot for the renewables based off of 46 current Indiana solar ordinances show median setback of 200 feet from non-participating dwellings, 500 feet median setback.
Did I agree to 500?
I think it's 50. I'm sorry, did I say 500?
You said 500.
Apologize. Reading too fast.
That's okay.
It should be noted that 1320 setback would also negate minor solar, again, unless they get a variance or proof that there must be major solar or lesser setbacks. Regarding municipal setbacks, this setback negates minor solar over 5 acres instead of inside of incorporated areas. There is consideration by some of our smaller communities that they would like to access potential solar for different parts of their community. National corporations in our community anticipate green energy will be a part of local initiatives where they will, seek other communities for future development. This could have major effect on our local employment. See corporate missives for renewables, Walmart, General Motors, Huhtamaki, AEP, American Woodmark. You have access to links to those. This is respectfully submitted, Mark Bardsley, Grant County Commissioner, District 2. So those are the findings that I put together for your consideration, gentlemen. And if you would like to discuss that, this is a public meeting that we have the opportunity to wrestle with those issues. Again, the area plan had the public hearing, and the public voice has been heard there. We are required by law to wrestle with our findings, if you consider those your findings. If not, we may need to look at some more findings.
No, I'm fine with your findings. I don't have any questions. I do, Steve.
Yeah, Mike, I didn't know if you had anything to add to that
No.
or anything I would entertain.
Mark pretty well covered it.
Okay. Yeah, I've had a lot of calls from many of you, I'm sure, sitting in the room. I know some of you I don't. And this is a big thing to vote on since I've been commissioner for a whopping 5 days. I've read through the ordinance, understanding it is the most restrictive ordinance that there is. I've made several phone calls outside of the phone calls that I received, just as I was asking about buildings and things. When we place a vote this restrictive, it concerns me. It really does. It concerns me about economic development. I know most of us don't want to pay any more taxes than what we're paying. I just want to make sure that I'm making the right vote. And I don't know what that right vote is right now. I can honestly say that. I can tell you I've got just a little bit of history and understanding. It's not what I see above the ground, but below the ground as well. And when I was on the city council, when the Meyer property and the Arbor Home property came in, and I know there's a specific ditch out there that a certain farmer drains a lot of water into, and I know how important that was to him. And we were able to go ahead and work with the developer to make sure that that did not get taken up and taken out. And so I just feel like I need more due diligence to be able to make this type of vote. And so I've got a motion, if you would entertain that at this point, Mr. President. Would you have anything else?
I can entertain a motion, or again, we do have the version, certified version that is in front of us, and I think we have a copy of the draft 4.
Yes.
If you want to look at those at all to make comparison, I think if we have a motion that is going to send something else amended back to APC, that's part of our give and take with APC, that we probably ought to at least qualify the differences between the two, if that makes sense.
Would you like to do that?
I'll be glad to walk us through some of those items, and as I said, most of what we had before was 90% finished. I want to note that there are similarities between the certified, but some of the things I would consider more restrictive than others. And so that's why I believe that we need to send our draft 4 back to APC. I think the biggest things that we did was as mentioned, we eliminated the concept of the mile setback off of municipalities. We're recommending, and I just want to check here, instead of the average of 200, I believe that we requested it be written in at 300 feet from residence, or 50 feet from property line, whichever is greater there. Then as well, we would consider a major solar farm anything over 10 acres, minor anything less than, unless it's specifically residential in nature, so that we have gone back to the concept of the residential, the minor, and the major systems. The other thing I think that's important is by bringing back the concept of a technical team that will review these things before it goes to APC. We answer questions about roads, about drainage, about soil conservation, about EMS and fire issues that need to be addressed. And that information would be carried to the APC for their review and vote before it would ever come to us then. So I think that we have a pretty good concept here, and again, we're trying to find a balance between science and nature and economics and property rights, and that's a difficult thing to do. But I think that in a quick overview, covers most of it. We, in the future, may consider adding some more qualifications onto to this, but it would be again a separate ordinance that we would work with APC on. Basically now fees, that's one thing that we changed up. Residential up to 1 acre would be a permit fee of $100. Application, no filing fees there. Minor commercial, 1 acre to 10 acres is a permit fee of $1,000, and then application filing fee of $5,000. Major commercial, anything 10 acres or more, is $1,000 a megawatt in permit fees, application filing fees of $10,000. That's a one-time, it would not be an annual fee that they had to pay. I don't think that's fairly, that covers it, I think, fairly well. So that is the difference between, I think, the two.
And you said that was a number 4?
That was our draft number 4 as we have finished it up now.
Okay.
Questions on any of those comparisons, Mike? So what are you thinking about?
Well, here's what I'd like to do, and like I say, I just need, one of 3. Making a major decision, it's a big thing, and I would appreciate some more time. And my understanding is that we'll have 45 days to send this back. They'll have it in the BZA for 45 days. APC, I'm so sorry, APC, for 45 days, and then they bring back all these acronyms.
Too many acronyms.
They'll bring it back to us, and then we have another 45 days. So that gives me, us, 90 days more to take a look at this. And I know you guys have been going through this as well, and I'm sure your phones have been busy as well. And like I say, I really want to go out and take a look at some of the locations and stuff that people are telling me that it's going to hurt the farmer. And let me just say this, I'm all about economic development to a point, because if it hurts a lot of people, I'm very interested in that, and I want to know exactly how that's going to hurt. But in the same token, it's more than just farming. We tax-wise and things like that, I'm looking at some of these companies who are committed to renewable sources by 2030. And if we make an ordinance so restricted that these companies cannot do what they need to do, they're going to be pulling out. Don't know. I see some head shaking yes, I see some head shaking no. And so I need to check that out. I've had people give me a call and they'll tell me something, and I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that the information that they're giving me is not truthful information. Maybe not on their part, but they're so locked in on the decision that they want for their particular area that they're locked on, and no matter what I say, is not going to change it. So I got to do a lot of homework on this. I hope people can appreciate that. Just coming on and being a commissioner for 5 days and fielding as many calls as I possibly could. I had 6 calls yesterday, and some of them I couldn't get to because I was talking to somebody else on it. And so I just want to make sure that I'm doing everything I possibly can. And for those who know me, and I think that's the reason that I possibly got appointed as a commissioner, they know I do my homework, and I really want to do that. So with that in mind, I'll ask again, is the chair ready to entertain a motion?
I think we can, yes.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to amend the proposed solar ordinance, solar energy system standards as submitted to the Grant County Commissioners by the Grant County Area Plan Commission on April 18th, 2022, for the reasons stated in Commissioner Bardsley's proposal and my comments, and to send back to the Grant County Area Plan for revised proposed solar energy system standards ordinance, and I believe that was draft 4, for its consideration to be adopted as an ordinance of the Grant County, Indiana. And I send that back with the understanding that we will have the opportunity to make any changes we want to once it comes back, and after we've done more homework and research, that we can change anything in that 4. If they send it back to us that way, we can make any changes we need to.
We will receive yes, no, or recommendations.
Okay, that is that is my proposal.
I'll second that.
Do you have a motion with support? Any discussion on that? Fairly clear that that gives more time for discovery. It gives us the opportunity to get this back on track with the APC, and I think we go. All right, ready for the vote?
Yes.
All those in favor would say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it's carried. We will send this back to the director of the area plan. I think, I'm not sure if we have to certify this or by motion we just send it back, but Ryan, are you with us online? Let's see.
Yeah, he's on there.
Is he? So do we have to send it back a certified copy to you, or just what we?
Yes.
Okay, we will send it back a certified then.
And once we receive it, the 45 days would start.
Very good, okay. We will put this together, and we will also make this available through our IT, so everybody has a copy that they can access it online. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we do have, I think, maybe 15 copies available.
There's 20.
Okay, so that would be available as well. So we'll be getting that to you. Thank you, Mr. Ryan. We appreciate it very much.
Can I say one other thing?
Yes, sir, please.
I thank everyone for coming out today. I know this is near and dear to your hearts. I know it is not this generation, but next generation's decision as well. And I just want to make sure that we're doing the right things for everyone. So I appreciate your kindness in the meeting. Appreciate you coming and showing up. And just know that I'm going to be doing my homework as well as the other two commissioners as well. And hopefully we can make the right decision for everyone involved. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We are ready to go to new business. Oh, excuse me. Any other old business you gentlemen are aware of? All right.
5 days, I don't think so.
We will go to new business. Mr. McWhirter, you have some recommendations about Lowe's.
Right, we have our, Lau Associates is our software vendor for our financial software and our tax software. And they've given us a schedule for their fees for 2023 to consider. And just a quick comparison, there's a listing of like 4 items on your schedule there. The first one, financial and payroll software system, annual maintenance. They have increased that 6% over what it was this year. The property tax system annual maintenance is 5.5% higher than last year, and the other 2 are the same. So if you average them all together, it's roughly a 4.64% increase, 23 compared to 22. My recommendation to you is we need to renew it. We're committed to the software. To make a change would be a lot more expensive than that. So my thought to you is we need to adopt that and agree to that schedule for next year.
Jim, help me remind us, is this a line item that we have in our budget, or is that yours?
Actually, I have it in the county auditor's budget. Yeah, that's something I would be proposing to them as we go through the budget process.
Okay.
Used to be years ago, we had it, before I came in, we had it kind of separated in 2 or 3 different accounts, but we put it all into one at this point.
Right. We have a recommendation from our auditor, and how long have we been using Lau now? We made a transition, probably, was it when Mike was auditor, or?
Well, we've used Laos quite a few years for the tax piece, and the financial piece is rather new. I think the financial piece came in May of 20 or May of 19. Yeah, which would it's recent.
I want to say we were actually still upstairs in commissioner meetings when we made that switch over initially to Lau. So
Yeah, that would have been the tax piece. Financial piece is more recent. Yeah. And they're prevalent throughout the state. I mean, a lot of counties do use them, and we've been pleased with what we have there.
we've got to use some kind of system. So I totally will listen to Jim's recommendation on that.
Yeah, it would make no sense to change at this point.
And And with anything, everything's going up, so a 6% and a 5%, that's,
I don't like those, but
No, I don't
in today's
either.
terms, it's
It's
probably
technically
not
less the
unexpected.
cost of living right now.
yes,
It's
yeah.
not unexpected.
All right, I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion, we approve the recommendation from our county auditor.
A second.
I think they had the original form for signature, right? You've got that?
I have it.
To approve the increase with Lau, second of Mr. Wright. Any other discussion or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor would say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it is carried.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right. Justin, parcel data request.
Yes, sir. You have it in your packets, the actual request. It's just simply a data extraction. AEP is requesting it. The parcel data in support of existing transmission line maintenance activities. With your consent, I would just simply get them in touch with our GIS team.
Anytime we have a request for data information, because the county owns it, we're the executive, we have to give permission instead of just carte blanche saying anybody can take it. We kind of weed through there and make sure that there's proper reason for it. So.
Good. Good.
So I would entertain your thoughts or motion on this.
So moved.
I'll second that.
Motion to approve the data parcel request from AEP. And seconded that, Mr. Wright. All those in favor would say aye.
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 Thank you.
All right. Other new business that you're aware of? All right, it is almost 10 minutes after the hour, and we've had some of the public that has remained. We have the opportunity to have public comment. We usually limit that. If you would like to go till 25 minutes after the hour, that doesn't give you a problem, I hope. And that will give us the opportunity, if folks would like to address the Board of Commissioners, that again, we'll limit discussion, presentation to 2 minutes per. And again, before we open it up, if there are members of the public that would like to discuss items outside of the solar ordinance, we would ask for your participation first. Is there anyone like that? Right on up.
It almost has to do with solar. I'm George Atkins. I reside at 1418 South, 600 East Marion. And when you all were talking about the new building out at the Highway Department, and a huge difference, kind of got me too. When you look at structure, you know, for instance, are any trusses 4 foot on center, are they 8 foot on center? And why not, while you're building that, go ahead and set it up to collect solar collectors on top of the roof like the airport did recently. They had to go back in and I think modify the building to be able to do that. But if you look far enough ahead, you know. And I wondered also how much acreage is comprised at the County Highway Department on Garth Lake. Is it 20 acres?
Right at 80 acres.
80
I believe that's
acres.
what it is.
That seems like a perfect place for a solar field.
Actually, we were solicited at one time by Gas City
Is that
for that
right?
very purpose, and we did not move forward with it because we're still in a major discussion on what to do about the jail, about future development out there. So that hasn't escaped our thought process. We just haven't done any follow through with that yet.
I think maybe if I'm counting right, there might be a 5th solar field now, and it's called Gas City 2 off of Hyde and Gilman's.
Is that already complete?
They got the door shut and the dumpster's gone,
How
so,
about that?
yeah. But the other thing I was thinking too, way back when all this started out at the fairgrounds, and I can't tell you who his name is, he's been here for a long time, maybe Economic Growth Marion. And said when they fly over, new business prospects come in, like manufacturing and that kind of stuff. And And you don't have any solar fields, not very many of them. And he said it, and I can't quote him, but, you know, that could turn people away from looking at us. And then I learned later on that the chances of us being able to receive any of that power that these fields generate isn't always, we don't have our name on the list. You know, it could go to Toledo, Cleveland, wherever. And I didn't understand, I thought about that, how can solar fields have an effect on our economic area if we don't get to use the power? So, I thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any others on items outside of solar?
I prepared, my name is Richard Hart. I live at 1018 North Wabash. I encourage you in the future to get microphones so that those of us who are hard of hearing could hear. I'm sure that many of the things that you had to say, people wanted to hear, but they couldn't because the sound is so unamplified. I was interested in the Planning Commission, and I looked into the matter, and I asked someone on the public official about the county comprehensive plan. And the person said to me, well, you know, I think there is one, but I haven't seen it in a while. I looked it up, and I found out that it was made in 1991. Some adjustments were made in late 1990s, but it expired in 2020. So my concern is, how can the Area Planning Commission be making recommendations for anything without having a comprehensive plan in place? It makes me wonder if the Area Planning Commission is doing things on a piece-by-piece basis rather than one that includes all 8 cities of our county, all of the agricultural land and everything else. So my hesitation with what you gentlemen have suggested in terms of amendments to this, coming from an Area Planning Commission that I understand does not have an up-to-date comprehensive plan for the county, is troublesome. And I would ask you to maybe, I'm not saying sidestep, you can't do that, but I'm asking you to ask the council or somebody to appropriate funds to do a serious, comprehensive plan that starts now in 2022, and like the first one, it was done with the idea of 30 years in mind. I encourage you to do one with the idea of 30 years in mind. It may be that we have to bring in an outside agency to do the work. I'm sure we might have to, but we definitely need a comprehensive plan going forward. That's my comment about that. May I read a letter that I wrote? But it's about solar.
We're at definitely 2 minutes, Richard. Let me just ask if anyone else has things outside of solar before we take solar comment. We will forward that information to the APC and see what we can find out. We have had some comprehensive plans. Most of them made recently have to do with emergency management. I'll have to ask Mr. Jackson if that has anything to do with the area plan as well.
A comprehensive plan has to do with all of the issues: economic, social, educational, use of property, relationship to the state, the federal, all of that. And if we do that, we'll put ourselves in a situation vis-a-vis the state that they'll take us much more seriously, because they know it's not just an issue they're concerned about. They have a plan for the whole county.
I appreciate that comment, and we definitely need to review that without any question. So I'll let you read your letter, and then we got to go on.
There's a copy here for everyone. Dear sirs, we hope you're well. It has come to my attention that the commission may be planning to introduce new rules for solar panel fields. I am writing as a homeowner with an acre of land in the city of Marion, my homestead. I would like to be free to install solar panels on my land. The state law of panels, I'm not sure if it's there, is 50 feet from a neighbor is suitable for me. Any distance further will likely make it impossible for me to install solar panels on my land. With the likelihood, this is important, with the likelihood that I will need to buy an electric car, I want to be able to charge my car with power that I produce on my land. Others may think as I do. Please consider this need for solar panels in the city and not just the countryside. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. All right, we've got about 10 minutes left. Who would like to? We are moving to solar, so if you want to speak on solar, we've got 2 minutes each.
I'm Ed Hartman. Most of you probably have met me. I want to make sure that it's clear that I did not represent BZA. I am a private citizen. I am a resident of this county. I own property outside the city, in the county. And I was speaking and trying to help the APC, as were many people in the room. However, I may have done a whole lot more research than most of them. And I'll admit that, and I'll take whatever credit is for that you want to give. But I felt like I had every right to do that, even if I have a position on the BZA as chairman. I felt that was my right. Now, of course, what we're talking about really here is one of the things that keeps coming up is the fundamental question of what are the property rights? Now, when most of you buy your property, you know how your property is zoned. You know if it's agriculture, you know if it's residential, you know if it's industrial. You know you don't have a right in a residential area to open a diesel repair shop for 24-hour-a-day service next to somebody else's house. You know zoning law has a purpose. You know the BZA makes zoning law decisions. That's their job. That's what you've appointed them to do. They take it seriously. It's a seven-member board who works very hard at that sometimes. When there are bigger decisions, it's harder, but they do that. I would prefer that. Now, draft 4, I believe you have written that out. That the BZA does not consider these. Okay? That's one of the things that is in almost every county ordinance. 72 counties, at least, that we checked with, use the BZA on solar farms, okay? Now, that's for a special exception. You're going an unusual path. You're reducing it down to this commissioner board has all the power. Everything else is a recommendation. The BZA does stand alone in making decisions on zoning. They do have the final authority in this county. Now, that's not to prevent them from being sued. We've been sued before. I was there in court with our attorney. Okay, felt that was our job. Okay. We lost. Okay, that's just a matter of the way it went. Okay, we lost. But we had made the decision, we stood by it. Now, if the commissioners decide everything, that's 2 men will decide. Okay, if that's what you want, that's what you're going to get with draft 4.
About 30 seconds.
Okay, so the ordinance that I proposed, I listened to all of you in public hearings. The APC had several of them. I went as a resident, I listened to all of you. We weren't getting anywhere with this draft 4 trying to amend it. We were bogged down and couldn't get it done the way we wanted to. So I went out and researched and looked for an ordinance that matched what everybody was asking for. And I found one that was pretty close. It was Adams County. So we had already taken several months on this. So I quickly moved into one of the best zoning attorneys in the state, Beckman Lawson, in Fort Wayne. And I said, just make the changes we need to make it for Grant County. And there was a couple little things we added as well, maybe not little. We added no slave labor in these solar panels.
Ed, your time's up.
Okay.
I'm Andy Ellis, I yield my 2 minutes to.
We're not yielding any time, we're letting individuals talk. Ed's had his time. We've got about 2 minutes, 4 minutes left, so.
Okay, folks, I've had my time.
As we're having someone come up, there are only 46 counties with solar ordinance, and special exceptions, variance, and appeals is what the BZA is supposed to be doing. That's their authority, and I believe that's what our ordinance says.
Hey there, guys. I'm Dalton Carr. I'm with Apex Clean Energy. I'm not sure we've met individually. I did attend several of the hearings that were held for the ordinance over the past several months. So I kind of watched it evolve over time. I'll keep mine really, really brief. Just wanted to thank you for your continued work on the ordinance. I hope feedback over the next 90 days helps us to ensure that we don't have the unintended consequence of, discouraging solar investment in the county. Hope that I get a chance to meet each of you over the next several weeks, and we'll continue to work with Ryan, the APC, and the BZA, and hope to have a good output of that.
Thanks. All right. Anyone else?
Jackie Sheets.
Jackie?
I think that y'all need to go to actual solar farms outside of Grant County, check them out thoroughly, please. I personally want that setback to be as far away from me as possible. Keep it at 1320. I don't want that right in front of me. And when it comes to economic growth, we live out in the country, we're farmers, because we don't want that. Keep it in the city. Put those solar things on the, where are they, distribution centers and stuff. Let those people use that energy from that. That's great. But we don't want our farm ground taken. You might as well quit eating. I'm telling you right now, if you take out our farm ground, quit eating. Go on a diet, because you ain't gonna have no food to eat. Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. We've got about 2 more minutes before our 11:25. I see 2 people up. We'll do 2 people, and this is it.
Okay, mine's just real quick. I was trying to figure out the pros and cons for the county, and just
for the record, we need your name.
Oh, I'm Linda Morgan from Upland.
Thank you, Linda.
Sorry. Pros and cons, just a few quick ones. The pros would be we would get taxes off of it. Well, we would get taxes off of whatever the land use was, okay? But the cons of having a large area are that if we had that, there would be less jobs in the county. Because my understanding is there's only, after it's built, there's only going to be a couple, 3 people that will maintain it after that. And the other con is, again, the electric generated by that is going to leave the county. It's not going to benefit any of the businesses here. If a business wants to come into the county, I think the idea of encouraging a small solar that stays in the county would be to our best benefit. Thanks.
Thank you.
My name is Mike Young, I appreciate you guys taking public comment and entertaining the community, and thank you for all of you that attended. It's obviously a sensitive issue. I serve as the as the business manager of IBDW Local 873 in Kokomo, which covers Grant County as well. We have about almost 100 families here in Grant County that I represent, and we're in support of solar. It does produce a great amount of economic development. We're currently doing the project at Hardy Hills in Clinton County, and I would just like to, I think the lady had a great point maybe to visit, and I would extend an invitation to any of you that wanted to go see that development over there. We've worked with the Chamber of Commerce there in Clinton County quite heavily. That will employ approximately 250 of our members for almost 2 years. So it does have a direct economic impact on the populace of that county. So I'd just like to extend that invitation and thank you for your work.
Thank you. All right, we have gotten through our designated time. Gentlemen, are you aware of any more business we need to conduct today? Our next regular session is on July 18 at 10 a.m. and we will be formulating our information and certifying that back to APC sometime here in the next couple days. If you don't get a copy of the proposal back, you can access that online sometime today. We'll have that available. All right, we will declare ourselves in recess. Thank you. Thanks. I have to tell Richard Martin, my microphone, so he couldn't hear me.